NBA player props here on PrizePicks for Thursday, December 22nd. Before I get started, there's a link in the description below to sign up for PrizePicks, or you can use promo code TUFF to sign up. PrizePicks will match 100% of your first deposit. There's also a Discord link in the description where the main server is completely free, as well as Patreon link where I do post all the plays here that I'm making on PrizePicks for each given sport that I do play. Again, I'm not a gambling expert, not financial advice, simply just the plays I'm personally looking at making, hopefully giving you guys some insight and analysis to make your own player prop decisions here. But let's get into it, you guys. We only have a 2-game slate today, so massively small slate. I wasn't really planning on making a video here, but I just do think there is some value on the board with just 2 games here. Not sure if I'm going to make any Patreon plays today just because we only have a 2-game slate, so there is just not obviously a ton of props to choose from. But yeah, let's get into it. Both these plays here today are fantasy score plays that I just think have some value. Quite a bit of players out for both teams. I guess Zion's going to be out. Brandon Ingram's still out. Porzingis is questionable, but he did not attend shoot-around, which was the most recent news here. So again, keep that all in mind. It looks like Keldon Johnson is going to be questionable as well. But let's get into it. 2 props that I do like. Let's go. So the first one is going to be, well, again, like I said, both fantasy scores. It's going to be Brad Beal. Over 36.5. We took this on Patreon 2 days ago when he faced Phoenix, and his fantasy scores at 32.5, or I think 34.5 maybe. And we took the over on that one. He had 47. But with Kristaps questionable, did not attend shoot around. Hopefully he doesn't play. I think if he does end up playing, this line will probably stay the same. But if he doesn't play, like if he's ruled out, that might bump this line up to like 37 maybe. But Brad Beal is just in a spot here without Porzingis where the volume is going to be there. We can see here his fantasy score game log, his only game without Porzingis. He went 27, 6, and 6. He did shoot 8 for 20 from field. And I think in that first half, he only had like 6 or 7 points. He really turned it up in the second half, played extremely well, and really saved the fantasy score line for us last game. But he has been getting those peripheral stats is what I really like. I mean, he had 6 and 6, 6 points, and 6 rebounds and 6 assists in his last game with a steal and a block, which obviously equates to some significant fantasy score points being added up pretty quickly here. But Bradley Beal, I mean, if you take a look at the last 5 games, he's averaging 1.13 fantasy points per minute, which is good for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in the NBA. So when he's on the court, he's going to be able to get fantasy points per minute. His usage goes up. Quite a bit when Porzingis is off the floor as well. I mean, so if Porzingis doesn't play at all today, I think it's a great sign here for Beal. He also just gets a terrific matchup. The Utah Jazz giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to the shooting guard position at 43.5. We have targeted shooting guards against the Jazz kind of quite a bit this season. Just across the board, just giving up a ton of production. I mean, you can see here 39.3% from 3, which Bradley Beal is not taking a ton. But the Jazz are the 2nd worst defensive team as far as guarding pick and roll ball handlers. And Bradley Beal does that quite a bit here. Just overall, I think this is a great spot here for Bradley Beal at 36.5. It just seems too low for a player like him. I'm going to take the over on this one for Bradley Beal, 36.5 fantasy score against the Utah Jazz in this game. And then the second prop that I'm looking at is going to be Jonas Valančiūnas here. I like his over 33.5 fantasy score, coming off a monster game that he had against Milwaukee where he had 67 fantasy score. I just like this play here because of his usage. I mean, if you take a look back at this, right, Valančiūnas 1.22 fantasy score per minute over his last 5 games. I mean, he's just historically been a high fantasy point per minute type of player here. And you can take a look at like some of the odds for these, right? His points odds. Caesars has over 17.5 points at minus 148 here. Consensus is over 18.5, but Caesars has this at minus 148 for over 17.5 points. The rebounds are going to be there for him. Just an absolute smash spot as well. I mean, the Spurs, we know, cannot guard centers, give up the second most points in the paint in the NBA. They do give up the most points to centers in the NBA at 26.9. Rebounds, they don't give as much rebounds, but still upper half, 14.9 rebounds per game. But I expect Valančiūnas to be able to feast inside here with no Zion, no Brandon Ingram. Larry Nance is questionable, which I'm assuming they're probably going to have him just sit for this game. New Orleans is 8.5 point favorite, so there is, again, that blowout risk, which in the NBA, there's just been so much blowout risk as of late here. But I just think at 33.5 with, the no Zion, with the terrific matchup that Jonas has tonight. And, I mean, look at the numbers he's put up against the Spurs in his career. Like, I mean, I know situations change, things like that, but, I mean, earlier this season, he faced the Spurs just not even 20 days ago. He had 40 fantasy points, 21 11 and 2, and I believe Zion even played in that game here. You can see here, yeah, Zion had 30, 15, and 8. And look at Jonas, 21, 11, and 2 in 26 minutes. 40 fantasy points. All we need is 33.6 tonight from him. I'm taking the over on this one for Jonas against the Spurs, over 33.5 fantasy score. So, again, these are the two plays here. I think absolute smash spots. I mean, Jonas, like I said, 1.22 fantasy points per minute over the last 5 games. If he's going to play, I mean, what do they got projected on RotoWire for him tonight? 24 plus. I think he's around 26 minutes tonight at least against a weak Spurs interior defense. They got Jakob Poeltl, but I don't know what it is with the Spurs, but they cannot guard centers at all. So these are the two props here that I'm rocking with tonight. Again, yesterday was a pretty horrible day overall. Probably never betting on Markelle Fultz again if you guys watched the video yesterday. The Luka prop hit for us, but the Markelle prop was just... I have nothing to say about that. Markelle Fultz, I don't know, man. I really thought he had turned a corner and he was just going to become a guy now. But, yeah, he had like 1 or 2 points at halftime against the worst defense, the best possible matchup in the world for a point guard. Pretty crazy. But, yeah, we're looking to bounce back today. Bradley Beal, 36.5 fantasy score. Valančiūnas over 33.5 fantasy points. Again, let me know in the comments below you guys feel about these two props here. Drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.